What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me on another episode. Actually, this is a special episode for Hbtv. We're going to talk a little bit about voting, why your vote is very important, the process, some resources, and all that good stuff. So thank you for sticking around and joining me tonight. If this is your first time to join us and view, thank you for your eyes and ears. And if you are a repeat viewer, I do appreciate your support. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, share, and hit that little bell so you can get alerts when we're on live. Tonight, I do have a very special guest. It is the City of Carson's City Clerk, Donesia Gause-ALDANA, and she's going to be on with us, and we're going to talk about the voting process, like I said, and everything in there. She has a lot of great information to share with you guys. So just stick around with me. I'm going to transition really quick, get Donesia on the Zoom and set us up, then transition back for our little interview. Again, you're watching HBTV. I am your host, Harry Bugarin, with this special episode, Why Your Vote Counts. So please stay tuned. Okay, we are about ready. We have Miss Donesia Gause-ALDANA on the Zoom. I'm going to go ahead and transition to that Zoom. So please help me welcome the City of Carson's City Clerk, Miss Donesia Gause-ALDANA. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for taking that time. Do me a huge favor, Donesia, for the viewers that we have tonight and the millions of viewers that will be watching later on. Please give us that 30-second elevator speech of who Donesia is and what she does.
Well, hey everybody, I am Donesia Gause-ALDANA. I am the city clerk for the great city of Carson. I have served in this post for a little over 9 years now. I am truly humbled and grateful to serve my community in this capacity because I like to say that I am your advocate in democracy. And what I mean by that, I am responsible for getting you all the information you need to be a thriving community member in Carson. Everything from the legislative affairs taking place by the city council, all of the information related to budget, the planning commission, all comes through the city clerk's office. And so I'm so excited because I get to talk to you today about a very important topic, and that's elections. I know you're probably already receiving the many campaign ads in the mailbox on your TV screen, but I'm excited to talk to you about the important topic of elections and voting and why it's important to vote. That's one of the great things that I get to do as the city clerk. So let's go. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's do that, and thank you for your time. But again, I just want to remind everybody before we do get started on this information, HBTV and everything that happens on this platform, we are apolitical. Anything that we do today and what we're going to be talking about, we are not trying to push any type of agenda or letting you know or telling you what to do and when to do it. We're just here to give information, and Donesia is here to give that information. And please do your research be that responsible citizen who is out there to get that information, the best information you can, and just make that educated judgment on your picks when you do vote. So, but yes, Donesia, let's go ahead and get down with it. Let's go ahead and start as far as the voting process for this 2020. I know throughout the years, everybody's used to going to somebody's garage here in the neighborhood, at the park, at the church, at the elementary school, but now things have changed. So tell us a little bit more about what's happening now, the process with that, and especially about the mail-in voting.
Okay. Thank you for that, Harry. And it's important that you understand that the clerk's office is an apolitical position. So, to his point, all of the information that I'm giving you today is just to make you a well-informed voter, to make you a well-informed resident and citizen, and to participate in democracy. So, I'm going to give you the quick information. We're going to have at the end of this, we'll provide you with some phone numbers and some websites that you can go to get a recap of what we're going to discuss today. But 2020 is a unique year. We all know the impacts of COVID and the way we go about life. It's a new normal for us. We have to be take safety precautions and ensure our health and our safety when we go about in the community. So there are different ways to go about voting this November 3rd, 2020. Every registered voter in California will receive a vote by mail ballot on or before October 5th. So they're going to go out the week of October 5th. So you may receive it on October 5th, depending on where you live, or by that Friday that week. Every registered voter in the state of California, more particularly in Los Angeles County, will receive a vote by mail ballot. You will also receive an official sample ballot booklet, which would contain all of the information about the different races, the different candidates that you are eligible to vote for. Those will be mailed out on September 23rd. So I just want you to keep an eye out for those two things: your vote by mail ballot and your sample ballot booklet. Now, before I get into the different methods of voting, I first want to take a moment to talk about the ballot itself. What is fun about the ballot this year is that the local offices are first listed on the ballot, which is exciting because we used to have to go through all of the different myriad of races before we got to our local contest. And what's different about this particular election is that if you're in the city of Carson, not only will the contest for Carson City will be first, but there's a new element that I want to talk about, and that's district-based voting for the council members. So the city of Carson recently switched from at-large voting to district-based voting, which means that the city was divided in 4 different districts, represented by 4 different council members. Each district has 1 council member representing their area. In November, if you reside in the 1st district, which is up north part of the city, for you Carsonites that are familiar with communities, Galaxy West, Centerview, Colony Cove, Carson Harbor Village, Dominguez Hill, Stevenson Village, University Heights, just to name a few, will participate in the 1st district. They live in the 1st district. Also in this election would be the 3rd councilmatic district, which will be if you live in part of what we call Delamo or DA, around the Mills Park area. If you are from the Patch, people talk about the Patch. The Patch is in the 3rd district. Some of Callis Park area. If you live or reside around Callis Park, you're in the 3rd district. And then our friends over on the far east side, which is called the presidential tract, they too are part of the 3rd district. So we want to go into that a little bit more later in the segment, but I just wanted to kind of touch on that because I think that's important. The seat of the mayor and the city clerk, myself and the city treasurer, we are elected at large. So we're elected by everyone throughout the city. So that's the difference between council members and your three at large seats in Carson: the mayor, the city clerk, and the city treasurer. If you live in districts 2 and 4, you're not left out this election. You can still get the opportunity to vote for the mayor, along with a city measure and all the other contests that are on the ballot. But those districts, their councilmatic representatives will be on the ballot in 2022. So we talked about the ballot itself. And depending on where you live will determine the type of ballot that you will receive. A point that I want to drive home is that in the past, Carson was used to voting for their council members at large. So at any given particular election, you would have two candidates that you can elect to city council. That type of voting is now discontinued because we are electing council members to represent your district. So in that respect, you would only have one vote. So I want to press home that if you have a council district election on your ballot, you live in districts 1 or 3, you would only vote for one candidate. Whatever candidate that may be of your choice, just ensure that it's one, not two, like you have in the past. Because if you vote by mail and you send your ballot to the county and they don't see that you overvoted, which is what they call that, overvoted until it's time to count the ballot, they will invalidate your ballot. And we don't want anyone to be disenfranchised. We want everyone to participate in this election and nominate who they believe is the best candidate to represent them on the city council. From there, I know this is a lot of information to impact. So Harry, I'm going to pause here and see if you have any questions you want me to cover, because it's a lot of information that we have to go over in a little bit of time.
Thank you for that. I just had my mic off for that. But I thank you for that information. I do appreciate it. Now, we're going to get into a little bit more about the districts that you were talking about. But as far as the mail-in ballot, I know there's a lot of concerns, especially Mr. President was talking about a lot of fraud that can happen. Now, do you see that as a possibility, or is there something that our voters should be concerned about regarding the mail-in voting ballots?
Great question. So there are a couple concerns that people bring up related to vote by mail ballots, and what I've been hearing by our current president and just and analysts out there, and I want to draw a pause and say vote by mail voting in the state of California particularly has been made very safe and fraud proof in a sense. And let me explain. So when you have a ballot and you voted by mail, when you return that ballot, that signature on the ballot is validated with the signature that's on the registration card. So I know some people have concerns that ghost people can vote and fill in an envelope, say a deceased person receive a ballot, and then a ghost voter mail it in. If the signature on the envelope does not match the signature on the registration card, that envelope is invalidated. If a ballot is sent in without a signature, the county who's responsible for running the election will reach out to that voter via mail and say, hey, you did not sign. Unfortunately, you forgot to sign your envelope. And this is the only way we can validate your ballot. So we need you to send us an affidavit, and they'll mail the affidavit where they can sign it and return it back to the county. Now, in that instance, the voter has up until election day and then 20 days thereafter to turn that affidavit in. But again, that affidavit is compared to the voter registration card. So the concern about ghost voting, that is kind of dispelled with the signature validation mechanism that the county and any elections official have in place. The other concern is about people voting twice, having the opportunity to vote by mail and then go on election day and vote in the vote center. Well, the county would count the ballot that they received first. And technically, if you mailed your vote by mail ballot in, say, in the month of October, and then you forget and you go to the vote center on election day and vote, the county holds on to those envelopes until election night, and then they tally those vote by mail ballots. But if you go into the poll and vote, that would invalidate or suspend the vote by mail ballot, and it will not be counted. The voting at the polls is in real time. So that means as soon as you cast your ballot, it's known that you voted. And so the county would not count the vote by mail ballot. Now, in the event that you do not go to the polls at 8 o'clock on election night, the county will count your vote by mail ballot in lieu of you voting at the polls.
Well, that's a question I wanted to ask you next. Will there
Okay.
be opportunity or options for people to go to the polls, or are all the locations just going to be shut down?
Great question. So the city is partnering with the County of Los Angeles to ensure that in-person voting is safe, clean. They'll be practicing social distancing. They'll be ensuring that our seniors are well protected and processing are working through the vote center. But yes, in-person voting will commence on October 24th if you don't want to wait to the last minute. And we're begging you, please don't wait to the last minute. You have up to October 24th to election day to go into a vote center and cast your ballot. The community center, Carson Community Center, will be a vote center
Okay.
along with a couple of our parks. I'll know more when the county's still solidifying those locations, so I'm not really sure of the exact location, but I know for sure Carson Community Center is one. And I know for sure that Boycia Park
Hmm.
over on the south end of the city is also another location. But all the others we're still trying to nail down at this time.
That's awesome. Again, you guys are watching a special episode on HBTV, the show with my special guest tonight, Donesia Gause-ALDANA. And we're talking about voting and the importance of voting and why your vote counts and other things. But just quickly before we move on, I just want to give a shout out to the Patch. That's my neighborhood where I grew up. So that was kind of cool that you mentioned that. So really quick, Donicia, let's go ahead and start jumping into like what type of strategies and techniques, or what do you suggest for the voters out there who kind of do get overwhelmed with, not just with the presidential race, with what's going on right now, but even in our local states and government. We get bombarded with all the leaflets and the pamphlets and the text messages and the calls, all that information. So what do you suggest, especially now? This is not the time to just punch a hole next to a name without doing that research, without getting that information about different propositions, different, just the different things that are on the ballot. How can somebody just get more information and get that in layman terms? What do you suggest?
Okay. So you're right. It's a lot of information to unpack. Even for me, and I do this every 2 years. I'm into it, right? But it's still a lot of information. It's a plethora of information and different views. Um, you know, all the way, and there's so many levels of government that we will be addressing in November. All when we think about elections, the first thing that comes to mind is the presidential election. And yes, the presidential election does matter, but local government is the branch of government that you have direct access to. The decisions for city council and mayor, they directly impact you. the candidates for supervisor, for the water boards, and so county water boards, those all directly impact you because that's your Caltrans, that is your streets, that is your water, that is all the things that we live and thrive on a regular basis. Those directly impact you. So one thing I want to challenge you to do, and that is to do your research on the local level, because quite honestly, that's the most impact. Um, and there's a few resources out there that I like to go to because they give nonpartisan, um, not non-biased, unbiased information about candidates, about the propositions that are on the ballot. And the two that I want to recommend is the League of Women Voters. The League of Women Voters is a great resource. And they go all the way down to the local level for every city. They talk about county issues, state issues, and they do touch on a few federal issues as well. But for the most part, all of that local grassroots that you need to know about, the League of Women Voters will have some information on. In addition, there's another one that I just came in contact with. It's called Cal Voter. And we'll have that on the screen for you later so you can jot it down at your convenience. But Cal Voter, or excuse me, calmatters.org. Calmatters.org is a nonpartisan and nonprofit newsroom that is committed to explaining California's policies and politics. You can visit the city clerk's website to get the information on the local candidates. Every candidate put in a candidate statement, which gives you a good um, 2 second written description of their qualifications and why they believe they're the best candidate to represent you. But it's important. And so, League of Women Voters, calmatters.org, and also the Secretary of State, they sent out a voter guide. Let me see, I have this one right here. If you can see it, can you see it on the screen? This California general election voter guide. It's not as thick as past. It used to be really thick. But don't get discouraged by the thickness. Read it. It's simple. It's in layman's terms. If you're at the doctor's office, if you're just sitting at home, pick it up, grab it, and peruse it. It's really important that we know what's really going on because there's some important propositions on the ballot that can dictate what type of land use will be done in your neighborhoods, what type of developments that will be can be placed or approved in your community, your water rights. There's different rights that you want to be sure that you know about when you go to the ballot, when you go to the polls, whether it's at home in your living room or at the vote center on or before election day. You want to be informed. And those three resources that I gave you make it simple. It can't get any simpler than that. So I think that's really pretty much the resources that I would recommend. The other ones kind of, put a partisan spin on it. So I'm gonna stick with Cal Matters,
Okay.
League of Women Voters, and the Secretary of State.
And I want to have that graphic up to
Okay.
recap at the end of our episode, and I also have that information in the video description so our users can go back and see that information as well. Has that voter's guide been sent out already? I just want to make sure I didn't put it in the recycler bin or anything like that.
Yes, as a matter of fact, it was in my mailbox today.
Okay.
So everyone should have the California voting guide.
Okay.
And then what voters should expect now, the sample ballot booklet pamphlet from the County of Los Angeles, which would have only the contest that you're voting on. So it wouldn't have all of the issues that's for everyone in the state of California, but it will have only the contents that particular voter will be voting on.
Awesome, awesome. Again, you are watching live HBTV, the show, with my special guest tonight, Donesia Gause-ALDANA, and we're talking about voting, the process. You've already given us tons and tons of great information about the process and some links and some resources. So let's just go ahead and go back to that topic that you were talking about with districts. Can you
Okay.
just go a little bit deeper into that and explain as far how that affects us when voting, by districts?
So, a lot of our communities, our neighboring cities, have already adopted district-based elections. And district-based elections is intended to just give everyone a seat at the table and ensure that every protected class of people have a representation on the city council by way of having them be elected by their immediate neighbors and immediate communities that have the same issues. So that's the intent of district-based elections. You may get some propaganda that speaks about why we went to elections, their thoughts on whether it's great or not for the city. I'm not going to touch on that, but I'm going to say that the city of Carson initiated this going to district-based elections because of a California Voting Rights Act lawsuit that the city that the city received, um, claiming, and I say claiming because it's still in litigation, that a protected class is being disenfranchised by at large voting in the city of Carson.
That's interesting.
Well, we Carson is a melting pot. I love
Hmm.
Carson, and that's why I love Carson, because it's a melting pot. And there's different arguments on both sides. I personally believe that if everyone participate, we can all, we're all represented, right? But it can be argued on both sides. And so for me, as your city clerk, I just want to express and impress upon you the importance of going to the polls and the importance of looking at your local members and holding them accountable, including myself, because I'm elected, right? Holding
Hmm.
me accountable to what I was sworn to do, and that is to keep you informed. And so you got to do that. The only way you could do that is at the polls. That's your voice.
Hmm.
That is your voice to make the decisions you want for your local community or your state offices, for your county offices, all of your representation. That's your voice. And so November 3rd is important for all of us on so many levels. Um, and I want to go back to vote by mail because we talked
Okay.
about the fear of vote by mail, right? But vote by mail is proven. It is a good system that you can trust, but some people's not trusting the United States Postal Service because of what we're hearing in the newspapers and just what we're being told about the delays with the mail service. So the city of Carson has partnered with Los Angeles County, along with many other cities throughout Los Angeles County. There will be ballot boxes throughout the city that's installed in different locations, and they're tamper proof. And the city, we are lucky to have 7 throughout the city of Carson, and they're accessible. I got a call from a community member who saw who had the opportunity to see the actual ballot box at the park. She saw it at Mills Park, and so she called me and she was concerned that it could be tampered with and that it could be the box itself can be lifted off the ground. It's actually bolted in the concrete in the ground, so it can't be tampered with. if you look at if you get a chance, I want you to go check it out before they even open it up. But go look at it and inspect it because it's tamper proof. I promise you.
Okay.
Um, but to add one more layer to that, in the city of Carson, every place that we've installed a ballot box, we have a camera, we have an eye, brothers watching. So, if any crazy person want to go tamper with those envelopes, beware because our sheriffs is coming.
Awesome. Again, well, it's good to know that those boxes are secured and
They are
they're tamper
secure.
proof. So,
They are
again,
definitely secure.
again, you're watching HBTV, the show. I'm your host, Harry Bulgarian, and my special guest tonight, Donesia Gause-ALDANA. So, just before we wrap things up, is there anything else you would like to tell our viewers? Anything? It could be the voting stuff, anything that's happening in Carson that you'd like to give some information about.
Okay, so there will be over 400 vote by mail drop boxes throughout Los Angeles County. You are not limited to just the city of Carson. You can go anywhere in Los Angeles County and drop off your ballot box. And that's the same for in person voting. You can go anywhere in Los Angeles County at any vote center and vote your ballot. And I say your ballot because it's the ballot that's specific to your community, it's on demand. I am so proud to have partnered with Los Angeles County on their new innovative voting solutions for all people to ensure that everyone has a great experience when casting their ballot. Again, I'm your partner, Danisha Gauze in Democracy. I just want to give you those important dates that I want you to remember moving forward between today and November 3rd. And that September 24th is when you should be receiving your sample ballot pamphlets in the mail. You can also access that on lavote.net if you want to look at it early on. You can also download if you use your smartphone, you can download an interactive sample ballot, which will allow you to make your selections on your phone. And then when you go into the polls, you can get a QR code, and everything is inputted and is automatically drawn down onto your ballot for you, which makes things a lot easier. So I impress upon you to try that if you're pretty savvy with your smart device. October 5th through October 27th, you'll be receiving your official ballots in the mail for all registered voters. And I say October 5th through October 27th because if you register after October 5th, they'll be mailing those ballots as the folks are registering. They'll receive a ballot up till October 27th.
Hmm.
October 5th, that's when early voting begins technically because that's vote by mail time, right?
Right.
You may mail your ballot in, postage is paid. So you may mail it you may drop it off at any postal service. You may drop it off at your closest vote by mail drop box, which I mentioned there's 400 in LA County, there's 7 in Carson. October 19th is your last day to register to vote online. So you can register online or you can get a card at the post office, the city clerk's office, at the libraries. You can get an actual card if you want, but then you can go online at lavote.net and register as well. October 24th is when the vote centers open. Um, we're asking you, please don't wait until November 3rd, especially with COVID. We don't want a long line. We don't want people discouraged and not wanting to stand in line to vote. So you have every opportunity before that. We know we have some folks that, are true to the electoral process and want to go on election day. We encourage you to do that. We just don't want you to wait to the last minute. We just want to make sure that everybody has access. Access. Again, November 3rd, big day, election day. You can register in person that day at the polls. But we don't want you to wait to the last day. We want you to register before October 19th. Right, Harry?
That's exactly it. So again, great information. I'm going to go ahead and transition to this graphic. It's going to take a little bit, Donicia,
Okay.
but let me know when you see it on your feed. And again, this is just for the audience to see exactly what we went over. As far as the information here, we have some information here on the slide deck, and again, that information will be posted in the description as well. So let me know if you see it on your feed yet, or okay, there you go. So we got the voter resources. All right. So again, Donesia, if you want to go ahead and talk to the slide deck, if you like.
Okay, so this is just a resource guide that I put together for you. Go to the next slide.
Okay. Yeah, it's gonna take a little bit, but this one says voter resources
Right.
on there.
Okay, here we go. Should I start talking?
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, there it goes. It got on the feed already. Go ahead.
Okay. So the first slide is just giving you voter resources information. LAvote.net. That is Los Angeles County Registrar of Voters with a plethora of information related to elections. You can't go wrong with that website. You can even track your ballot on their website. The League of Women Voters, we talked about that, which is a nonpartisan organization that provides information on all levels of government. And then calvoters.org is another nonpartisan nonprofit newsroom that is committed to explaining California policies and politics.
All right, I'm going ahead to the next slide again. It's
Yeah.
gonna take a little bit before the slide does come up, but those are great links, great resources for all of us to look at. Again, those.
Absolutely. Absolutely. LAvote.net, even for me as an elected official, you can go on there and get a interactive copy of your sample ballot booklet. You can track your ballot. You can find your district. So if you
Okay.
want to know where your address is and where what district you actually live in, you can put your address in and it'll tell you which district you live in. And not just for the city of Carson, it'll tell you which congressional district you live in, which supervisorial district you are in, which water board you're represented by. So you can find a plethora of information on that website.
Okay. What about this slide, Alicia? Track your
Oh,
ballot.
so track your ballot. That is a new one for 2020. It's California Ballot Tracks, and you're able to track your ballot throughout the process from the time you drop it off at the ballot box to the time it is counted. You will be able to track your ballot. You can go on that website today and register, and as soon as you receive your ballot, that's when the tracking will begin. So again, you can go to california.ballottracks.net.
Okay, awesome. And again, that's going to be on the description here. And on this last slide, as it's pumping out, we got some important dates that you were talking about earlier.
Yes. So the important dates again that you want to remember September 24th through October 13th, which is the mailing period for your official sample ballots. And then October 5th through October 23rd is the time frame for your official vote by mail ballot. Last day to register to vote, October 19th. In-person voting is not on the slide, but I want to impress that again, October 24th, in-person voting. And then again, election day. Put a star, November 3rd, election day. You should have done one or three things by then. Either voted early, voted by mail, or on your way to the polls, to the vote centers.
All right, Donesia, thank you. Thank you for all that information. We are blessed to have you. Thank you for your
Thank you
time.
so much.
You being
Appreciate
there,
it.
I know you're at the office. It's almost, what, 6:45, and you're still working hard for us citizens here in Carson, California. Just one question, though, before I let you go for this election. Can you tell us who you're going to vote for our mayor?
Oh, I can tell you that every last one of those candidates come with something strong. You have the current mayor who is a constitutional attorney, and he will take any contract to the table when he's legislating for you. And then you have council member or mayor pro tem, excuse me, mayor pro tem Jim Deere, who has been a community member for a very long time. He has the reputation for being very personable. A lot of people know him. Then you have the Councilwoman Lula Davis Holmes, who's been active in the parks, who probably, taught you in the parks when you were growing up, and she knows everything about the park. She's all about her residents. She say it all the time. And then you have a labor representative, Anna Minnie, who grew up in the patch, who is the union president for the local union here in the city, who represents the city employees. I can tell you, residents, you got a hard choice to make, but you know what? Do your research on all four of them. I'm gonna bow out of saying who I am gonna vote for because honestly, Ari, I don't know. It's too tough to tell right now. They all very strong. All four of them are all very strong in their own ways. And so it's just left up to you to decide who you want to represent you as mayor.
That was awesome. I just wanted to throw in something out of something out of line and out of what we talked about early in the topics. And you're like, man, you handled that one like a champ, like a true city clerk that we have here at the city of Carson. Just wanted to keep you on your toes, Donesia. That's it. Donesia, again, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Blessings.
Thank you.
And
God bless
I
you. Viewers. Good luck with you on November 3rd. But please, please, please vote. Your vote is your voice, and we need to make some noise, Carson.
and I look forward to continuing with an open conversation with you and have you back on the show, to check in with you.
Please invite me again.
Okay. Well, it was a pleasure, and thank you for your time. Stay blessed. Stay safe. Thank you very much. All right. So that was our special guest, Donesia. She did great. She gave us a bunch of information. Again, that information is going to be in the video description when this thing gets published to YouTube. So go ahead and check that out. Appreciate your time. Do your just and just research all the candidates, everything out there, the propositions, whatever's out there for you. Get well informed. Again, this is just information that we were able to provide for you, especially through Donesia's information. Check out those links that she gave us as well. So again, that's it for tonight. You guys stay blessed. You guys stay safe. And this was a special episode. I just wanted to get this episode in because of the time of voting. I know other shows are competing with this time slot with HBTV, especially the debates that's going on right now. So for those of you who did watch me live and watch Donesia live, we do appreciate it. And again, starting off October 4th, that is the kickoff of season 2 of HBTV's The Show. We have all new guests, all new inspiring stories. I can't wait to get to them. That first episode is going to be on the 4th, 12 p.m. With Rosalind Ree. She is a documentary filmmaker, and can't wait to sit down with her via Zoom, obviously, and just discuss about her journey. So again, stay safe. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate your time. Till next time.